Komi Can't Communicate is an interesting series. It's a lighthearted slice-of-life series with some very light rom-com elements to it. Our protagonist Hitohito Tadano is an unremarkable person. Like in most anime, he's a standard Japanese high school boy who doesn't really stand out that much from everybody else. But what he can do is read people and read situations a little better than everyone else can. This comes in handy on his first day of high school when he's seated next to Shoko Komi. Komi is incredibly beautiful, the entire class fawning over her at every chance that they can. Everyone comically in awe of her beauty in ways that a lot of their minds stop functioning properly. And of course, Tadano is not that much different, also amazed by Komi's beauty and lucky enough to sit right next to them. But through this, he's able to notice something peculiar about Komi. She doesn't ever really talk. Whenever it comes to her needing to speak, she more just shakes or makes weird little noises. From there, he's able to determine that Komi actually has severe social anxiety. But even with this extreme social anxiety, she still wants to meet new people and make friends. So Tadano commits himself to helping out Komi, to helping her move past her social anxiety or working with it as best as they can. From there, comedy ensues because they're not at a standard high school. This is a high school for the peculiar, which is really convenient for a comedy anime, so you can have all these strange characters and it's kind of explained by their environment. You have characters still locked in Chunibyo fantasies, others that play as ninjas, and an even worse case for one is a very creepy stalker. Through all these misadventures though, Komi is slowly able to slightly come out of her shell and experience high school life to a more fuller extent. Komi and Tadano becoming closer over time as they try to find a way forward for her. This series is very interesting. I've heard a lot about Komi Can't Communicate because a lot of people in the States love the manga. I don't read the manga. I generally don't read a whole lot of manga in my spare time. I don't have a lot of it, unfortunately. But from what I've been able to gather from other people's reactions, they're very obsessed with how cute and heartwarming and touching the series is, and that really translates into the animation. Animated by OLM, otherwise known as Oriental Light and Magic, this show really stands out for its animation quality, and the animation is further elevated by its high-level direction by Ayumi Watanabe, who's the director of the beautiful film Children of the Sea. Now, I've done a few TikToks on Children of the Sea. I've not covered it very in depth, but overall it's a very beautiful film that, while I feel like its story is lacking in parts, the direction and the animation and the quality of the work is without question. And that carries over beautifully into this anime, where it feels like a lot of that soul from the manga, those kind of jokes that you get when you read a manga, are carried into the show in a more clever way, keeping a lot of text box and moving them with characters in a little more bit of an elevated fashion. With gaggy, more comedy manga brought into anime, sometimes there can be this difficulty in how to translate that. For an example of this, you can look at another 2021 anime series, In the Way of the House Husband. That series, which of course had a far lower budget than Komi Can't Communicate, also struggled with how to adapt its manga jokes into an anime. House Husband went in the opposite direction, having its animation quality go down a few notches and punctuating that manga style of reading, so the jokes kind of feel like you're reading the manga even though it's in an audiovisual experience, giving you a whole different kind of feel. It didn't work out as great in that series, but Komi Can't Communicate is able to elevate past it. There's also a few things done to the appearance of the animation that really help elevate it. One of those is the quality of the lighting. The lighting is bright and it gives the colors a little more vibrancy. So even when you have a lot of these moments that don't have a lot of complicated movement to their animation, these kind of colors and vibrancy, this overall look of the show makes it feel a lot more refined than it might be, which is a huge accomplishment. You see a lot of people talking about the show or pointing out how great the animation is, and it is really stellar animation. OLM is a quality studio, even though they haven't really done a whole lot of big name works. They are most well known for the Pokemon series of anime, as well as the Berserk anime series back in 1997. Most of their works since then aren't things I'm really familiar with. There's not a lot of big names out there that you're probably gonna recognize. But in 2021, they had two series that absolutely blew me away. The first series, of course, being Komi Can't Communicate. A little bit of a spoiler for how this review is going to go, but I like this series a lot. The other being my favorite anime of 2021 in Odd Taxi, which if you want to learn about that, I have a whole nother video on it. Go check that out. Not going to talk about it much here. But OLM seems to be branching out a little more and doing things that are getting a little more recognition. Outside of Pokemon. Pokemon is, of course, huge. It's the biggest thing that they do. Everyone knows Pokemon. But outside of that, I haven't really heard about much at all from OLM until Odd Taxi and Komi Can't Communicate. I don't remember the last time I watched an OLM anime. Although I do know that they've done some of the more recent Zoids anime, which I want to check out at some point. I also want to do a video on Zoids. Not related to this thing, just bringing that up here, but where was I? Right, Komi Can't Communicate. So they do an incredible job in this series and in giving Watanabe the directorial duties, because he knocks it out of the park in determining what this series should look like, and I think a lot of the best ways to block it out and interpret it and adapt it from the manga. One of the slights I'll give against Komi Can't Communicate is it doesn't feel like a very inventive series. It's a slice of life comedy, and if you've seen a slice of life comedy, it's not that much different than those. Not to say that it's exactly the same, but I couldn't say that there's a whole lot of differences between this and another slice of life series I really like Teasing Master Takagi-san. In fact, as a negative against Komi, I think that a few of the jokes can be a little repetitive. The key one being the obsession that the majority of the classroom has towards Komi. As I mentioned earlier, everyone finds Komi to be incredibly beautiful, and this is taken to comic effect over and over again in many different ways, as the entire class, the entire school, the entire world is basically obsessed with Komi and making sure she's treated like a goddess. Now, if that joke doesn't land with you the first time, the rest of the series might be a bit of a drag, because it does come up pretty frequently. They do a pretty good job of mixing up the humor and having different kind of jokes, different scenarios, and different ways that I think makes it work. And overall, I did enjoy it, but that is one thing that did drag for me. Some of the jokes can feel a little repetitive. But overall, I think what sets this anime apart from other slice of life anime is the fact that it is so well directed, that it is so well animated. It's able to elevate a pretty good source material into an even better anime with flawless execution in many scenes. One of the key things with a joke is how it lands. Even if you know what the punchline to a joke is, if someone tells it in the right way, it's still funny. And I think Komi Can't Communicate is a great example of that, because even if some of these jokes I could predict, I know what's coming, I know how this is gonna end, if they land the way that you deliver that punchline, then I'm gonna laugh, I'm gonna enjoy it. And this series does that multiple times. I think a comparable anime in that sense would be Nichijou. Now, Nichijou has a completely different style of humor from Komi. They're not the same in humor, but I think they're both series that are elevated by their animation to take jokes that can be really funny no matter what, to adding that animation, to adding that flair, to adding that difference in adaptation that makes them land so much harder. Outside of that, we have our characters themselves. Now, Tadano, I think, is a really well done protagonist. He's kind of a generic, I'm gonna do the right thing, I'm gonna be the helpful guy, which if you watch a lot of slice of life anime, that sounds like every protagonist. But what sets him apart is that he does have a pretty good sense about him. He is pretty good at reading situations. He's not annoyingly dumb in most senses. He's a character who seems to have a lot of genuine connection with Komi and understanding her and working with her and trying to help her, really move on past her social anxiety, or to deal with her social anxiety in the best way that she can. Not that you can really move on past it. But he is just a very genuine, empathetic character, and I think that really helps out a lot. Moving over to our titular character in Komi, I feel like you could make a pretty good argument at this show not really utilizing her the best, or I guess maybe the source material not utilizing them the best, I guess. There's not a lot of deep character you get from Komi. She is very much cute, shy, and working with trying to not be socially anxious. You can't really tell a whole lot about her character that much because she doesn't get the ability to talk that much, though you can tell that she cares and that she admires Tadano for helping her out. But in that, she's not a true character because you don't really know a lot of flaws. You don't know a whole lot about her likes or dislikes that are really communicated in the show. That I don't feel like that's a huge detriment against the series. I still really enjoyed her character. I still really enjoyed the situations they put themselves in. But that is a thing that needs to be mentioned, which you could argue how much you need of that in these kind of series and these lighter slice of life series, if they really need that much character in it. But again, comparing it to one of my favorite slice of life series in Teasing Master Takagi-san, that does add more spice to it. And the romance end of things as well between these two characters, between Komi and Tadano, is very, very light. It's a sprinkling that doesn't really develop much at all throughout the series. I have a feeling that it just won't develop very far, which is again opposite to what I really enjoy in other series that I think are superior, like Teasing Master Takagi-san. I'm sorry for comparing it too much. I'm thinking about it a lot because that series has its 3rd season starting up now, and I really love that show. And I feel like what happens in Komi is more the standard for slice of life series. A lot of slice of life series don't really develop their rom-coms past that kind of initial flirtation, will they, won't they, will the other person notice how I feel kind of feelings, which is, you know, something you could talk about having a problem with in a lot of anime, and I generally do with a lot of anime rom-coms. I feel like I enjoy anime rom-coms in their setups, but a lot of them lack a conclusion. I kind of touch on this when I talk about Toradora. Toradora is a series I love a lot because it does have a satisfying end to its rom-com aspects. It pays those off and it moves those aspects forward, but in fairness to Komi, it's not really a rom-com centered show, which is why I mentioned earlier it's a sprinkling of rom-com. So this isn't a huge negative against it. It is just something I find generally annoying with romances in anime. They don't generally move that much, that fast, or if at all. It's always kind of a teasing, but you know, be prepared for that. Overall, I really enjoyed this series. I thought the side characters are fun and interesting for the most part, especially ones introduced later into the season. There's a few really later in the season that I just absolutely love a whole bunch. But overall, it's a really strong series throughout. I loved watching it through. It's on Netflix right now. You can go and watch it. I highly recommend it. Season 2 is out in, I think, of April in 2022, so that's something to look forward to as well. I do think the series is flawed in a number of ways, and I think if the adaptation wasn't so well directed, wasn't so well animated, then it could have fallen really flat for me and been kind of boring. No, boring is too harsh of a word. It may just not have made me feel as connected to the series as I do now. I don't think it would have that added flair that really kept me watching throughout it. Overall, my point is, if you like slice of life comedy anime, then you definitely want to check out Komi Can't Communicate. It's an inviting experience that'll warm your heart and make you laugh, and you know what? Sometimes you just need that. Sometimes you just need those kind of anime, so I recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun, and you know, stick around. I'm going to be covering some more anime in the future here. I'm definitely going to be covering Mushoku Tensei, I think, pretty soon here, as well as Tact OP from this latest season. So stick around, we got a whole bunch of anime to cover. I've covered a whole bunch of anime already. You can always go check that out and subscribe if you want to see more of videos like this. Again, I want to thank you a whole bunch for watching this review, and I want you to have a great day, a great night, or whatever it is you're having, and stay rad.